the difficulty of turning your own stage play into a film, because kind of what you have to do is to be ruthless about it. You can't hang on to stuff. You have to rethink the whole thing in terms of the cinema. It's often when you see an adaptation of a play, it kind of smells of the theatre in not a good way. And so you have to bear that in mind, and you have to sort of reimagine the whole thing for a different medium. And in a way, when you're adapting your own work, it can be more difficult than adapting someone else's, because you're hurting your own feelings.
Yeah.
by throwing things away.
Things to adapt, absolutely. So how was it? How did it happen that you finally did it for Stephen Frears?
That was entirely to do with the fact that when we were just after I'd sold the screen rights, which was itself a great saga, because the Royal Shakespeare Company didn't want us. They wanted to sell to a big studio, and I wanted to retain some control. So we had a huge fight about that, which went on for months. And finally, they allowed me to sell it to a company called Lorimar. And then, just as all that had happened, Milos Forman, who had been to see the play about 4 times, including in New York, I saw him in the theater, announced that he was going to make a film of Les Liaisons Dangereuses based on the novel, not based on my play. So that was a panic. And of course, if I'd sold the rights to one of the studios, they would have cancelled it immediately, because Milos Forman, his last 2 films had both won the Best Picture Oscar. So he was pretty much a 600-pound gorilla at that point. I had to write the script in 3 weeks in order to catch up, because it was announced that Milos had already spoken to Jean-Claude Carrière, and he already had a script, and so on and so forth. So I had to write the script very, very fast, and then I had to start casting it, which meant going to New York, standing outside the stage door, and handing a script to John Malkovich, saying, "You don't know who I am, but this is the script I would like you to be in." And meanwhile, every famous director you can think of had been offered the film as a director, and some of them were quite interested, but they were all frightened by Milos.